What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to another 2D game engine tutorial. So the last episode uh, we added the ability to make changes to some of our files at runtime, and then it automatically re-imports it and sets all the information how it's supposed to be. And for the data types that we were doing, we did GUI skin, we did sprite, we did a couple others, and I've noticed that last episode did not do too hot, and I actually got my second downvote. But one thing people has to understand is whenever you're creating a game engine, there's a lot of stuff that is kind of tedious, things that you don't want to do but you have to do, and this is one of those. If you don't add the ability to manipulate files uh, within the engine while it's running, then you're going to have some serious difficult issues, because you're going to have to close the engine every time you need to make changes to a file. So if you want to edit a script for a game object in the scene, you're going to have to close the game engine every time you make changes and then reopen it. Well, yeah, it's doable, but it's a pain. So if you want outs to that, you have to add those features. So I mean, whether you like it or not, it's got to be done. So that's exactly what we're doing. And in this episode, we're going to make it so that we can make changes to textures. So textures is a big one, and the reason why we're going to do these separate from the ones from last week is because they have to be done differently. Because we're not strictly just overwriting variables, which, I mean, we kind of are, but it has to be done differently, because like in textures, we're not dealing with any specific files. We're using stbi load to actually load the file. So now we actually need to get a file for that. Another one that we're going to be doing is, let me close this out. I pulled that up to get rid of a warning message from something we weren't using anymore. What is it? Shaders. Shader is another one that we have to do, which this one's going to be a little bit trickier, and I'm doing everything on the fly like usual, so it's going to be a little tricky, but we'll get it done. I was going to do custom behaviors where we could make changes to behaviors while the engine is running and have it automatically re-import as well. But we don't even have behaviors rendering inside of our project panel yet. So I figured for this episode, we'll just do texture and shader and go ahead and get those out of the way, and then move on to something else, and then maybe on like an extras episode or something, do the whole behavior stuff. Because I'll go ahead and get this out of the way, since apparently people just don't really care about it. But like I said, it's something that has to be done, so here I am doing it. All right. So, let's see here. Pull up GUI scan. So some things that we're going to need are the same as what we were doing before. So we need private file and a private long. One for our actual file, which is going to start out as null, and our last modified long variable. Not being used yet. So actually I'm in shader. I don't want to start with shader. Shader's going to be more of a pain than texture. So we'll start with texture. So we can go down here, and right here we can actually set these variables. So we will say f equals new file, should be the whole file name, and then say last modified equals f dot get, how to do that? F dot last modified. There we go. All right. And that went ahead and stored the file, since we're not getting it previously, and then just getting the last modified from that. So then down here, I'll do it like how I did the others, underneath the find or get method. So in here we need to do the RefreshAll, just like we did the other ones. So public static void RefreshAll. And here we just need to loop through it, just like we do the others. Size I plus plus, and that stupid thing. And then we will do texture instances dot get I dot refresh. So there's our static method to call texture.refreshAll. Now we need to do the refresh method for the actual instance. So public void refresh. Yeah. Okay. So before we were doing, let's see here. Before we were doing this and setting the temp, I'll just go ahead and try it here. Just to make sure it's going to work without that temporary variable. So we'll say if not, how did I do it? F dot last modified. No. If f dot last modified equals last modified. We're going to return. So then we'll completely skip over the temporary variable. Then we'll say last modified equals f.last modified. Okay. Let's see here. So what we're going to be doing is pretty much the same data that we're doing up here, just like we did before, except we need this. So we'll go int buffer width and let's make this private. Oh, I can't make that. Let's do W H private int buffer C. So we're going to store these values because whenever we create the texture, we already created the int buffers. So we need to just go ahead and store them in here. That way, whenever we change it, the int buffer is already created, so we don't even have to mess with that. C equals, do W H C W H C. There we go. That looks right. We'll see if we have any issues later. So this dot width equals w dot get and h dot get. Okay. So now we've got that. I think we could probably go ahead and reuse the ID as well. So we'll see how this works. I will try to skip over yeah, whatever. I guess we can do let's do byte buffer data equals stbi load f dot get absolute path, not file. And then we will pass in w h c and then 4, and that will go ahead and get our data. And then we can go ahead and set the width. So this dot width equals w dot get. This dot h equals h dot, or what the hell? This dot height equals h dot get. And then go GL bind texture. Say GL underscore texture underscore 2D, and then pass in the ID. So we're going to bind the texture ID that we already have, and I'm going to see if it goes ahead and replaces the texture at that ID with this. I don't normally do this re-import stuff that often, because normally I just build an engine and I just run it off of the IDE. And I've only done this probably a handful of times, so some of this is just kind of trial and error. All right, so then we need to set the parameters. So you know what? Let's just take all this, copy that, and then paste it right down here. That'll save some typing. All right, make sure it's all correct. I think that's good. What else do we do up here? Equals generate buffer. Okay. I think that might do it. Let's go into application right here. Do texture dot refresh all. All right. So let's see what happens. Texture, got SNW tiles. So, whoa, what happened? Did I just close myself out? How did that close it out? Refresh 143. If not f dot exists, I'm going to return. I don't know what that was all about. It did it again. If f equals null, return. I think that's what I did on these, isn't it? I just forgot to, yeah, I just forgot to add that. Okay, so that should work fine. There we go. Okay. So now I need to actually find the texture in here. Textures. All right, that's it. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to modify it. Open with paint.net. Zoom in. And which picture am I using? I'm using the very first one. So let's just get a box. And text, or actually no, let's just do this. It's gonna go like that. And just draw over top of it. File to save as. And save over that. Yeah. Okay. And there was an error. Let's see what we got here. Number of remaining elements is 0. Must be at least 1. STBI load 218. Oh, no, I don't need that. I need refresh 147. Okay, give me just a second. I'm going to figure out what's going on. Okay, found the issue. Apparently we can't reuse a created int buffer, so we have to add this right here. You can just copy it from right here and just paste it down there before this data. So apparently we can't reuse the already created int buffer, so we just have to go ahead and set those values back. So then when we run it, come on, Pokey. All right, so it went ahead and loaded that. If I go in here, and let's just undo that, save it, come back in, removes it. Come back in here, Control Y, save, puts it back. Awesome. All right, so that completely handles textures. So now we can make changes to any texture that's in there, and it will automatically update it. So now the pain part, and that is to do shaders. All right, so we'll go ahead and take those out. equals create shader file name. Else pal right there. So where is it? Right there. We're gonna go f equals new file name plus dot shader, and then pass in f right there, and then say LastModified equals f dot LastModified. Now underneath find, we need to do basically the exact same thing that we were doing on the other ones. We need to just loop through them. So go public static void refresh all. Now do the loop lower than shaders dot size. Whoa, what the hell? I plus plus. And then we can say shaders dot get I dot refresh. And then do our private void refresh. All right. Let's see how I did this. Okay, I have that. Returning a double set of string. So I can reuse the program. Okay, I think we can. I don't care, leave me alone. We can take all this equals GL create shader that, create shader that. I've already got the program. Copy all that. Because we don't need shaders.add this. We don't need to create a new program. So we'll copy that. Paste it in there. We'll worry about file name in just a second. So let's say if f equals null return, so let's not make that mistake again. Then say if f dot last modified equals last modified, then return out of that as well. And then say last modified equals f dot last modified. And then create shader file name. I'm going to say f dot get absolute path. That's a full path, right? Under create shader. Now, it's been a while since we did this class. Create shader spring builder. File name dot starts with that. If it does not, okay. File name plus dot shader. I'm going to have to remove that. F dot get absolute path dot split I need to split at the periods, and I need the first one. Okay, and hopefully that will do it. Let's, first I need to, my project, shaders, oh, okay, I already have that defaulted to open in there, okay. Let's see how much time we've, 33 minutes. Shaders, default game shader. All right, what should I do? Let's just make it easy. And like that. Then I'll just say color equals vec4 let's do there we go. So we'll just do red. So we'll save that off. See what happens. Absolutely nothing. I set that up here? Program equals GL create program. All right, give me just a moment and let me see why it's not doing anything. I don't want to waste any more time. All right, I'm back from another bonehead mistake. It would probably help if I actually called RefreshAll. Yeah, so that was very stupid of me, just not paying attention to what in the world I was doing. All right, so after you add shader.refreshAll and the on window changed focus method in the application class, you can go back in here and right above this line right here, I went ahead and, you know, tested it out while or like right after I fixed that. And we had an error because we're trying to reuse the program. And apparently you also can't reuse a program because it's saying that there's duplicates. I guess whenever you have a program and you're already trying to use it, it's like, hey, that one's already created, whatever, no big deal. So I went ahead and said program equals GL create program. So we created a new one, and right above that we need to delete the old one. So we're going to say GL delete program, and then program equals GL create program. And that is all that we need. So whenever we run that, all right, so I have it normal. So with it being normal and this color being commented out, we will uncomment that and comment that. And then save it off. As soon as we go in, bam, makes changes. Remove that. We'll completely delete that. Save it off. Click back. Bam. So it's pretty neat, right? No errors, nothing. Everything works perfectly. So now we can do this at runtime. Actually, really quick, let's see. I am pretty sure the way that we have the engine right now, we can do it even at full-on runtime. So let's try that out real quick. Might as well. Open that up. We'll go into runtime. So play. So we'll just, hell, I even forgot which. One of these buttons does something. Come on. Which one are you? Nothing? Okay, awesome. Well, we're at runtime, but apparently I forgot what button it was. So we'll say color equals 4 1 0 0 1. There we go, and that should just go ahead and change it to red. Yes. Yeah, so it completely works even during runtime when all the time is running and all that stuff. I know like things like Unity and other engines like that, they close that off so that you can only edit some of the stuff whenever it is in edit time instead of runtime. But that's not how we're going to do it. We're going to make it so that we can change it whenever. Because sometimes, you know, we're running around the game and we're like, hey, I can make changes to that or whatever. Instead of like going back and then having to find it and all that other crap, we can just pause it right there, open up our shader and just make tweaks to it, and then click back on the window and it'll automatically update it and all that fun stuff. And that's really how it should be. All right, so that does it. Holding R. Okay, so apparently I was doing something. Next episode, I believe we're most likely going to get rid of TinyFD. So we're going to start creating our own pop-up windows. That way we can get rid of all that crap, and I don't have to worry about it locking up my stupid computer whenever I'm running it on a build, because that's extremely annoying. So we will get that done, and there's a few other things that I want to do inside of the editor before we go back into runtime. So after we get done with a few things there, we'll go back into runtime and we'll finish parenting and parent rotations, and possibly start collisions and all that fun stuff once we get back into runtime. So I will see you next time, and have a good week.